If you're an entrepreneur and your business is not yet registered, if you're looking to grow your registered business, or you're an accomplished professional. Our Elevate program supports you with access to finance, access to markets, access to capacity building. Sign up now or refer a friend at ecobank.com/elevate. Elevate by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
Jar Oil. The company has filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Santa yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
On Monday, the 24th of August 2026, you're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, and joining us, strangely on a Monday, just to save the program, it has to be said, is Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services. Usainu Allen, leader of the NAFA movement, should have been our guest. Unfortunately, he was suddenly taken in last night. Couldn't make it. I got in touch with him. He was in the air, flying back home from China, and he offered to be here straight from the airport. Doc, we can't thank you enough. Let's look at some of the other headlines. By the way, UDP is celebrating 30 years of political existence. I'm sure you'd like to congratulate them on their celebration.
Hearty congratulations to them.
And they were in your own backyard, because you said you're from Brikama. That's where they were celebrating. And everybody who's been there told us, oh, goodness me, if you saw the crowd, that has to be scary to you people.
Well, I think beyond the crowd, we've seen UDP pull out more crowd than was pulled out yesterday. So that crowd is not something that can really have any effect on our confidence or what we think. UDP is dwindling. UDP is not a party.
Dwindling?
Of course. Their support base is dwindling. Their
We
support
said
base
in the first opinion poll
eroding.
they were shown at 12%. In this very one, 25%.
Yeah, they went back to default position.
So that's not dwindling.
No. So what I can tell you is that UDP is dwindling. Their support base is eroding.
That's not dwindling.
They are not a threat to the mighty NPP and allied parties. But nonetheless, congratulations to them for 30 years of resilience, 30 years of contribution to the Gambian political theatre. We appreciate everything they've done for this country on the political front, and I wish them all the best. However, what I can tell you is that they are not the alternative that Gambians are looking for.
And what are you basing that claim on?
What I'm basing that claim on is that they've not really convincingly given Gambians an alternative in terms of how they will deal with some of the challenges that this country is facing or is about to face. And remember, His Excellency the President, like I said, has two priorities. One is to provide for Gambians today, but also prepare for Gambians tomorrow. So he's playing this very dual, delicate role. That is why if you look at the President's investments and initiatives and programs and priorities, they focus on one, providing for Gambians today. So we have stable electricity, we have clean water, we have access to education. That is why today, if you look at Gambia, we are now universal access education in basic and secondary education, access to healthcare facilities. We have a very specific policy and program on that to make sure most Gambians have access to quality healthcare, support for agriculture. We believe that is a backbone for economic development. All these are taking, but at the same time, the President also believes that we need to prepare the country for the future, building the country for the future, building infrastructure for the future, building human capital for the future, to make sure that when the next generation comes, they'll not be preoccupied with solving the problems of their generation, but also focus on solving the problems that they can anticipate that will be the problem of the next generation.
Okay. On UDP being the alternative or not, I hope the party leader, when he comes to this platform tomorrow, will, give a fitting answer to your claim. But just on things said or whatever, you began saying something about the security when I stopped you in your tracks. If you pick up the Voice newspaper today, Bensouda vows to put Gambia's security fully in Gambian hands, suggesting that at this point in time, the security of the nation might not be fully in the hands of Gambians. How do you respond?
This is the problem I have with Unite and their leader. And that problem is that they are doing something very dangerous. You see, when immaturity and experience meet populism, it's very dangerous for any country. And unfortunately for Talib, he doesn't speak what he believes in. He says what they told him to come, what they tell him to come and say. Now, if
Who tells him?
The people around him are the ones who go and say this. This is what social media is saying, so go and say this. That is dangerous populism. Now, what I can tell you is that if somebody who's a presidential candidate who wants to be the president of this country doesn't know at this stage that the Gambian national security is in total control of Gambians, then there's a problem. Look, the national security advisor is a Gambian. The IG of police is a Gambian. The chief of defense staff is a Gambian. The head of the navy is a Gambian. All our security architecture are headed by Gambians. Look, the Gambia's national security remains Gambian-led, Gambian commanded, and subject to Gambian authority and laws. That is a fact. Now, don't confuse cooperation, complementarity, and partnership with control and loss of sovereignty. And that is a mistake. If you tell me...
What is he mistaking with what?
He's having a small number of economic forces in this country, not even numbering more than 500.
Oh, they've gone down to 500? It's not 1,000 anymore?
No, it's okay. Not more
because
than...
there was a time when Senegal were contributing, what?
250, I think, and Ghana...
No, they were contributing
I think,
more than that.
Okay, correct my numbers if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But still, it's still a small amount of economic forces in this country. How can that be? Under the control and subject to the authority of the Gambian state and the Gambian security. How can that be allowed? How can you claim that now Gambia's national security is not in the hands of Gambians? That is an insult, in fact, to our security forces. That is an insult to our security institutions. And I think that's a very dangerous speech. Now, what I can also tell you is that we have NATO forces in Germany as part of NATO cooperation. Does that mean that NATO has lost sovereignty and that NATO's national security is in the hands of foreigners?
You mean whether Germany has lost sovereignty?
Exactly. We have American forces, over 50,000 of them in Japan, as part of post-Second World War peace framework. Does that mean that Japan has lost control of their sovereignty and the Japan national security in the hands of the Americans? That is not what happened. What is happening is that, look, we live in an interconnected world where problems at the global level can have local and consequences. Now, drug trafficking, arms smuggling, terrorism, human smuggling. We need cooperation at the regional level to deal with these problems. And ECOMIC is here as part of the regional framework to partner and complement the efforts of the Gambian security forces, not as a substitute or not as a way that we have ceded our sovereignty and that our national security is in the hands of foreigners. I think someone who wants to be president should know. Because when you become president, you become the commander-in-chief of the armed and security forces of this country. What that means is that you should know the status and the dynamics at play within this. If you don't know, there is a problem, because then when you come to power, you realize that no, that is not the case. The fact is that the Gambian security forces are still in the hands of... the Gambia's national security is still in the hands of Gambians. That is a fact.
Mm-hmm. It was also reported that Lamin Mane of the UDP did say that his party, the UDP, was ready to declare election results even before the IEC. Now, the Voice is reporting that your boss has reacted, that the president has reacted. I haven't read the article, don't know what he said. But, how do you respond to such reports?
It's a very unfortunate statement from someone who we the younger ones look up to in terms of someone who should be measured. And I think it's unfortunate that the UDP themselves did not condemn this very dangerous statement. The only authority...
It's a dangerous statement?
Of course, a very dangerous one.
What makes it dangerous?
The only authority constitutionally mandated to announce election results is the Electoral Commission. They are mandated to conduct elections and announce the results, and the results are final. And anybody who has an issue with those results, you can seek redress in competent courts in a court of law. Now, where now a political party is saying that they are going to announce election results before the constitutionally mandated authority announces that results, it can burn this country.
How?
Because if your results don't really align with or diverges with what the IAC announces, then you are causing a problem in this country. And I think someone like Lamin Mane should know better than making such reckless, such careless statements. And I think everybody, every political party, and I'm surprised that the IEC themselves did not condemn this statement. And I'm surprised that even the UDP and other political party did not condemn this, because it's a very dangerous, uncalled for, reckless, careless statement that should not be uttered by anybody who's sober. If somebody else had uttered that, somebody who, I would understand, but not from someone like Lamin Mane. So I think this is something that Gambians should condemn. Really, because it's really a bad statement. You cannot allow a situation where political parties, that is unprecedented. I've never seen or heard that before. And where it happened in other countries, we've seen the result, what it led to. That is post-election violence. And I think, so now, there are two things here. If you announce the results, are you going to make sure that now you forcefully swear in your president, who you think is the winner, and that tantamounts to treason?
Okay. I'm just looking at the headlines. Barrow warns voters and attacks Dabo and Bensouda, warning voters about what? Against what?
Well, he never attacked Dabo. He never attacked.
No, I'm talking
Dabo.
about the warning. The warning is.
No, obviously, he has to warn voters to be wary of people who think that misinforming the public by portraying the government as not doing anything is what will take them to State House. It's just warning voters to be wary, to be cautious of people who have nothing to offer this country, but all they want to do is to create a scenario of chaos in this country, saying nothing is working in this country. What they wouldn't tell you, obviously, that is these opposition politicians, is that all the transformations that has been achieved under the leadership of His Excellency the President, all the subsidies that we are doing to make sure that we mitigate the impact of the cost of living, we cushion it for Gambians, all the infrastructural transformations across multiple sectors. And I've said this before, what we are witnessing in the government today is what I call explosive development that really every sector is moving and every sector is feeling it. Now, let any politician today, any opposition politician, come and sit in front of me and tell me just two things. One, is the Gambia worse off today than 15, 20 years ago? Yes or no? In every sector, in democracy, in stability, in human rights, in press freedom, in agricultural development, in healthcare provision, in education, access to education, in road construction. Tell me, in every sector, are we worse off today or better off today than 20 years ago? Secondly, most of the problems that some Gambians are really pinpointing today, did they not exist before? Is it that things have gotten worse or not? We've seen progress in
the cost of living crisis has definitely gotten worse.
But look, Peter, this is a globally induced phenomenon. If every part of the globe were having a more favorable cost of living, and only Gambia is having a worsening cost of living, we could say then the problem is Gambia. No, this is a global phenomenon at the back of two wars.
You asked for an example, and I gave one.
No, I'm telling you. But even still today, a bag of rice has gone down to $1,500. Jar is selling it to $1,500. So we've seen a decrease in the cost of living, at least a stabilization in the cost of living crisis due to sustained, conscious policies by this government to make sure that we reduce the impact. We don't have any control over what the inflationary pressures abroad. What we can do is to come up with policies to make sure that the cost of living impact is reduced and cushioned for Gambia, and we are doing that very well. Nobody can tell me that the price of basic commodities, Gambia's food basket, and I'll repeat this, it remains one of the cheapest in the subcontinent today. And when I say the food basket, this is
because our wages remain one of the lowest in this region as well.
So affordability, at least as a government, and like I tell you, for the first time in this country, we're able to increase salaries on 3 occasions.
It doesn't matter.
And
we're still one of the lowest earning in the sub-region.
But Peter, the country is not a resource-rich country, and like I said, we have competing. Our wish is to make sure that every Gambian has no problem. Everything you need, just do like this, you get it. But look, Peter, we are in very precarious times. The global economy is not doing well. Gambia is not a resource-rich country. There are no strategic resources we can say, these are our resources. What we are doing is to make sure that, and we thank the GRA and their director for doing a fantastic job in coming up with innovative programs and initiatives that has expanded our tax base and also improved and quadrupled our revenue. And we are using that revenue to invest in Gambians, invest in education. All these things you are seeing today, most of them are locally generated funds. The roads we're building, the schools we are, education support for educational sector, the water we are providing, electricity. All these are things that we are subsidizing from locally generated funds.
Let's produce our electricity locally, and maybe you won't have to subsidize, because we are paying a lot to get electricity in from Guinea and from Senegal.
We are doing that. We are working on that. There are plans in place, like I said, as part of our dream transition, part of our energy roadmap. Very soon, this will be a thing of the past. Gambia will be energy secure. We will very soon be able to produce more electricity.
Enough electricity for us.
They will even export to the outside world.
And then, hopefully the tariff will go down.
Of course, yes, because it's the market dynamics. When supply is high, when supply outweighs demand, then the price goes down.
Let's go back to the second, element of the points banner headline today. So we've dealt with Barrow warns voters. Now attacks Dabo and Bensouda. Why is he so obsessed with Dabo?
But who said he attacks Dabo and Bensouda? He never attacked Dabo.
That's the headline.
But the headline can be misleading, and I've had this issue with some of our journalists. Headlines can be misleading. Barrow will never attack Dabo and will never attack Bensouda. So this headline is misleading.
I was going to ask, because Unite believe that the December the 5th is between Barrow and Talib.
So they're discounting UDP.
Yet Barrow seems to focus more on Ousainou Darboe than any other politician.
So they're discounting UDP then?
Yes.
Okay, well, good luck with them.
Yeah.
Let them. But what I can tell you is that Darboe will not attack or.
No, you speak for Barrow. You don't speak for Darboe. So
Barrow will not attack Darboe, and he will not attack. And he will not attack.
But why is he so obsessed with Ousainou Darboe?
But Barrow is
everywhere he goes. He talks about Darboe.
Barrow and Darboe have a special relationship.
Oh, this is a matter of special relationship.
Then I think me and you should just stay away from this special relationship.
So something might be going on.
What I can tell you is
that
their relationship go
held in a tide.
No, not in that sense.
Held in a tide.
Not in that sense.
What I can tell you, and Mama Kande understand guy dafa
lumala moyne. Barrow ak Papa have a special relationship. They go way back. They know each other.
Papa don't
and send relation send digante ñun buñ ci dugg
ay bul faté de pa bank fi ñu élect de
waaw pa bi nañu walu mo ko ne docteur Ceesay mu ne sa digante ak sa digante ak sa doom
moy suma number 1
sa digante ak sa doom we have a special relationship ñun dañ ci mandu dal wala mala wone moy ne Barrow is not a politician who attacks other politicians. He stated the facts as they are, and I think it's right that he really warns the electorate to be wary of politicians who are going around misinforming the public, making the country look like it's like legi so ñewute Gambia sa wala nga nekkote fi sa you know what you know so deglo ñi ni da nga fone Gambia legi mu ngi aga fo xamne legi dara des pour mu suuf mu disappear from the face of this earth, because that is what they believe in. Then for propaganda, dangerous populism, more than a Yobo State House, but they're making a mistake. Gambians feel it, and for me what is important is that Gambians are feeling the impact, the positive impact of the development that the president is bringing to them. And we've seen that across the country during the tours, because Kinga Hamne, Moneka Kabada, for 50 to 60 years, pour mu génn Kabada mu ñëw si kaw tali bi daf ko daan jël 3-4 hours léegi-léegi du dee mën a génn sax am na nu moo tawe du dee mën a génn nga isil ko yoon bu ees mu mën a génn easily smoothly musta am ambulance nga jox ko ambulance musta am health facility nga jox ko health facility musuñu am school nga jox leen school. They were struggling, their farmers pour ñu mën a am engrais sax they were to get fertilizer at a reasonable price. You bring them those fertilizers, free seeds, free equipment. Those are the ones who are feeling it. Like if you sit in your corner in the combos in urban Gambia, amlo ben problem all your desire is to become president, and that unfortunately,
so you think all these alliances, all these coalitions, they have only one thing in mind: how to become president,
how to get to the highest office of the land. That is the only thing, nothing else. That is their common denominator. All of them, all these alliances they are running around with, or let's form an alliance here, that is nothing. Because that is nothing. All they want is to get to number 1 Marina Parade and share the spoils of the state. Because like I said, I've argued this before, that it is their view that there is high premium in political power. But they'll be disappointed that political power comes with a huge sacrifice. It's a burden because the Gambians have high expectations on you to deliver, and you have to deliver.
Sacrifice?
It's a big sacrifice with limited resources. But the
sacrifice with all the perks that you people enjoy.
What perks? What perks? What I can tell you is
how many cars do you have?
I don't have a car.
You have this big car that is out there.
It's an official car.
Huh? Yeah, and then
it's a car for the office.
And then don't you have what? 2 utility cars?
No. We have only 1 utility car. Not 2 utility cars. It ministers a flag car and 1 utility car. But look, the state should not be minimized. This is the state. When people see the state, they should see the state. And that's across the world. So the fact of the matter is that all these opposition politicians who are masquerading around, making people believe that they have the solution.
There's a new movement, by the way, economic freedom fighters.
Is it Malema who is here to lead it or what?
Malema.
Who's here to lead it? Is it Malema?
Don't be. No, just go ahead. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. So my point is, what Gambians want is stability and continuity. And for that to happen, therefore, Gambians know what they should do. December 5th, 2021 is to re-elect President Barrow to continue that trajectory of transformation he has already started. The country today is one of the most stable countries in the sub-region, across economically stable, security-wise stable, democracy-wise stable, one of the fastest growing economies in the continent, one of the most developed countries in the continent. And like I said, we've seen examples across the continent where countries were about to move, and they changed government because some politicians came to misinform them and do some populism with them. And today they've already regretted why they even changed the government. I think for us to avoid that situation of regret is to make sure that we re-elect President Barrow, let him continue on this trajectory of total transformation that he is currently doing for this country.
Very interesting headline in the Standard. Barrow rubbishes GP poll, that's, Gambia Participates poll, and says he'll quit politics if Unite takes West Coast
Yeah, but
Radio.
look, that's why I said I didn't want to go to the... I mean, the polls really...
He is not saying that NPP will take West Coast Radio.
No, what I'm saying is... the polls say that, based on the polls, that Unite is being in West Coast. Look, I don't want to... See, as a scientist, I did an opinion poll actually in 2016.
You should do a modern one.
But in the classroom though, I didn't go out of there, and my students who were there are listening. I think Suleiman Saho, in fact, was in that class, if I can remember right. Suleiman Saho, the current MP.
The MP?
Yes,
Oh,
I remember. Yes, I taught him in 2016.
Interesting.
So that was just before the elections. And in fact, he approached me after the opinion poll. I remember he was there because I remember having a conversation.
Yeah.
So the opinion poll was 3 candidates. It was a classroom opinion poll, nothing else. And I asked 3 questions. Who is going to win the presidential elections? And I put President Barrow of the coalition. Then he wasn't president yet. I put Yaya Jammeh of APRC. and Mama Kande of GDC. So I had about 60 to 70 something students in that particular class. And they all had to write the party they think was going to win in a piece of paper. And then it was anonymous. I wouldn't know who you wrote. When we finally checked the results and analyzed it, it turned out that Barrow was going to get 40-something%, followed by Jame, then followed by Makande. But my analysis was, at that time, was that even though the polls are saying coalition was going to win, I told the class that I don't see a change of government taking place. Because at that time, everybody believed that dictators will never conduct elections, that they are going to lose. That is why when, in fact, Jammeh lost the elections, these hardcore dictators across the continent were very mad with him because he broke the rules. Dictators don't...
They were mad with him?
Yeah, of course.
Who was mad with him?
I don't want to go into that. But anyways, what I can tell you is that, so when I was analyzing, I said, look, yes, the coalition might win the elections, and they are poised to win the elections, but we are not expecting a change of government. We know how dictators of Jammeh and their ilk, how they operate. After the class, Suleiman Sawa came to me and said, Doc, please, you should not have sent that because you discourage people. We are animal having that conversation. But like I said, that's why I don't like attacking opinion polls. Like I said, it doesn't make sense to me that the United can win West Coast region, but we'll give the opinion polls the benefit of the doubt, and we'll assume for the sake of assumption that it was done rightly, and that rigorous methodological procedures were followed. Fine, I don't know what happened there. What I can tell you is that from these polls is that Barrow is still leading, and we have seen an improvement of Barrow's numbers from Q1, from the first poll to the second poll.
Let's just focus a bit on West Coast region. I mean, the last election showed that UDP is very strong in the West Coast region.
Not the presidential elections. Barrow won almost all the constituencies in the West Coast region except Brikama North.
Okay.
And the two Fonyes.
Okay.
Yeah, the two Fonyes why Barrow lost and Brikama North. But every other constituency, President Barrow won in West Coast region.
Okay, but for some reason, the UDP continues to believe that, and when he was winning in 2021, the chairmanship of Brikama Area Council was in his control.
Yeah,
Now,
it was under Sirifo Sonko.
Yes.
But now, then after, like I said, sometimes
let's factor that in.
Yeah.
So the fact that the chairmanship of the BAC was in his hands,
Yes.
that was an added advantage.
Yes.
He's lost that now.
Yes.
The UDP, West Coast region is their background, and they have the BAC chairmanship firmly in their hands. Will that be, an even harder nut to crack in 2026?
No.
No?
What happens is that, look, presidential elections in Gambia are different from local government elections. The considerations are different. People have different.
You have to consider local government and parliamentary.
Yeah. So that's why local. That's parliamentary, consularship,
general elections
from the president elect, because people have local mostly it's the candidate who determines who wins. What I can tell you is that based on empirical evidence, based on the last elections, President Barrow has the upper hand in West Coast region, and his support is still strong in West Coast region. That is a fact. The undisputed fact is that President Barrow,
irrespective of the fact that the chairmanship of BAC has changed.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because what people did in the chairmanship elections, there are two options. They had Ceesay, they had what's his name again?
The Brikama Area Council chair is crucial to any election in any of in their region.
We are not saying it is insignificant. What we are saying is that the President Barrow still commands a very strong.
Like you all agree that Talib has great influence in KMC because he's the mayor.
But does that influence really result to electoral?
We're going to Brikama. We're looking at
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the chairman of the Brikama Area Council is from Brikama. Is from UDP.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that it will increase UDP's electoral strength in the 2025-2026 elections. But I can tell you is that based on...
You don't think that just as Sirifo Sonko might have gone out, all right, full force to convince people to vote for Barrow, Yankuba Dabo will not go out in full force to convince people to vote for?
Of course he will, but will people listen to him? That is the question. Will people listen to him?
You don't think they will listen to the man they see every day more than the one they don't see every day?
People will focus on what the president has delivered to them in terms of changing their livelihoods. The farmers in Fonyi will pay attention to that. The electricity is brought for them. The water is brought for them. The schools is built for them. The ambulance is provided for them. The healthcare facilities is provided for them. This is what the people are going to focus on, and not what the chairman, who is not even able to clean his office's surrounding, is going to tell them. Of course,
you're
that is a
very
fact.
mean. Of course,
I live behind the area council. My mom lives behind the area
around
council.
his office, you're saying it's dirty?
I mean, just go there and see the
You're
dirt.
saying it's dirty?
The most basic assignment we have asked the mayors and the councillors of the UDP to do, the most basic of them all, not difficult, is clean your environment. They have failed in that aspect. And that is why when I see Talib coming to say, give me the country run, I ask him, we gave you a small municipality, a very small one. With all the money we gave you,
small municipality?
Of course, yes, KM is a small municipality compared to West Coast region. With this size and all the money we gave you, the hundreds of millions of dollars we gave you to clean this place, you are not able to clean this place.
Government gave him that money?
No, the people of KM were paying their taxes. And the numbers are there. They received a lot of money from the people. But the most basic assignment, clean KM, they failed in that respect. This is the biggest scam of the century. Someone who is not able to clean his own environment. Someone who's not able to govern KM properly. Someone who has really shirked responsibility. Every time you ask, you say, no, it's the CEO who's responsible. Someone who's not able to do anything in KM, a small municipality. You are running around telling people to give you a country to run because you have unbridled ambition. And this ambition, we all know the forces behind this ambition. But Gambians are not sleeping.
What are the forces behind this ambition?
Obviously, like I said, Peter, I've said it here, these guys are trying to create a dynasty, a family conglomerate that will capture the Gambian state to pursue and to promote the interest and agenda for few people in this country, while the rest of the country wallow in poverty. We are not going to sit by and watch that happen in this country. President Barrow has the interests of Gambians at heart. He wants to make sure that dichotomy between rural and urban is eradicated, that rural Gambians have access to all the facilities that they need to live a dignified life. Access to clean water, access to electricity, access to roads, access to healthcare facilities, access to everything. That is what the president is working on. So I think what I would advise these so-called politicians who are going around asking for Gambians, let them go back first and fulfill their first assignment of cleaning their surroundings. Once they have succeeded in that, they can come and we can discuss.
If you're an entrepreneur and your business is not yet registered, if you're looking to grow your registered business, or you're an accomplished professional, our Elevate program supports you with access to finance, access to markets, access to capacity building. Sign up now or refer a friend at ecobank.com/elevate. Elevate by EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal wéef nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Scan to pay.